Hey, I really like how I changed my decor because it makes me look like Atlas carrying the world on my head because that's, um, you know, I don't like to follow the crowd. I chose not to carry the world on my shoulders. I want to put it on my head, and you're not my real dad, so screw you, motherfucker. But I tell you what is on the full weight of my shoulders that police will not help me carry, and that's knowledge of the fucking law. And I'm laughing because it's not even a case of if you don't laugh you cry. It's just my instinct is just to giggle a lot when it comes to the cops. And I rant at them over email, and it makes me sound unhinged, but you can see these videos, and I'm just I get my Snape on a bit in emails, and then sometimes I get my uh probably go a bit I went a bit Harley Quinn for a while as well. um Whatever. But the thing is that I'm actually quite a calm person. And the PTs, I'm cheerful, like I'm very cheerful, and I'm very loquacious, which probably doesn't come across as calm, and I know that it's exhausting because people with ADHD are exhausting, but in myself I am calm. The reason that I'm not technically medically calm is because I have a cognitive injury, not a mental disorder, but a cognitive injury called post-traumatic stress disorder, and that diagnosis has been revised to sort of expound a wee bit further, and just adding a subtype of PTSD called legal abuse syndrome. I personally think legal abuse is the wrong as a category error. I think it's just any kind of abuse that you can't escape. Because what's special about legal abuse is you can't escape it because you're either going to be physically forced, or you're going to be very, very, very badly disadvantaged financially and in your lifestyle, because you're dealing with people who have been recruited either innocently or complicitly to ruin your life. And I'm sorry, mind over matter doesn't work when you don't have a home and money and anything to eat and that kind of thing, and your health's really bad. So I didn't. So, I pick up on a lot of stuff that happens in the criminal justice system, that it is not by reading the Criminal Procedure Act and the Policing Act and the Evidence Act. It's by learning what fucking doofuses the police are, because they don't know fucking jack shit about the fucking laws, not only that govern them directly, like the Policing Act, but those which they are one of the select few bodies that can actually participate in, such as the Criminal Procedure Act. And I did know that there was one fucking doofus in CJSU, which is the Criminal Justice Support Unit. What a fuck up of a name that is. Support Unit, Criminal Justice Support Unit. Well, I don't know. I think we're operating on some very strange colloquialisms, like "see you later" to people we know we're never going to see again. I think that's how I think the person named CJSU who decided that we'd say goodbye by going "see you later" when we mean adieu. So without further ado, I will read the email thread that I posted a little, not quite a short, it was 1 minute and 1 second, because I didn't want it to be a short, because shorts seem to sort of hit the algorithm differently, and I want to sort of get to my main audience. But it was it's not categorically a short, but it is short enough. But I just want to read the whole thing. And this is just this one thread of email, because I've been through this before with these fucking Muppets, and I'll tell you about that a bit later. But right now I just want to read the whole email because I don't want to lose people's patience. So I have a pre-trial something, and we never know what we're really tuning up to, because court doesn't seem too fussed what they tell defendants. They'll just do whatever they fucking want on the day, and blame you for not knowing that, you know, shit, sorry, my bad, you told me it was going to be a trial. I am so sorry that it wasn't a trial, and I didn't know that. My bad. But I'm just going to read out the email thread, and I will do my commentary in a different one. Okay, so I'm hoping, it's a bit difficult when you're reading something out because it takes a bit more time, but I'm hoping that this should be under, oh god, shit, it's already 6 minutes. I hope it's going to be under 15 minutes. And I'll try and not do the commentary. I'll just read the email, and I can show that I'll video the email later so you can actually just see. I mean, sometimes I'm sure people believe me, but sometimes you've just got to read it for yourself just to see the fucking sheer fucking terrifying idiocy of police. So this morning, on the 25th of March 2024 at 10:31 a.m. Oh no, sorry, that was me. Sorry, at 9 a.m. same day, cjsu.christchurch@police.govt wrote, "Good morning, please find attached relevant disclosure documents." And this is for the remaining of the 3 charges that police haven't chickened out on yet. The first 2 they chickened out on. 1, full disclosure index, 2, event chronology, 3, property sheet record, whatever the fuck that is, 4, statement, Brown, Colgan, 5, notebook, Smith. So the statements are by the complainant, and then the notebook is by the arresting officer or the officer in charge. And the attachment is called Further Disclosure 250324 PDF. And it was sent by Nicholas Sharland, who appears, well, she says she's a senior constable. Yeah, so they have senior constables at CJSU. I would prefer to give this job to the guy who drinks beer in the bus stop down the road. I think, seriously, having talked to him, I think he would do like a way better job than at reading legislation than these fucking Muppets. I'm just going to call them Muppets at this point. CJSU are Muppets. I'm not calling all police Muppets, but I can characterise the different departments in different ways. Okay, and they call it further disclosure because they've previously refused to send me the original disclosure in a form that I can actually open. And what they do is they send it in one big PDF, so they don't even divide it for you. Okay. And I need to give a little bit of exposition. But I've given it plentifully before, but just for the sake of this, I've made it abundantly clear to police and courts that my computer is nearly conked out. It is aged out. It's connected, like a tech said the battery has actually just died. And Apple no longer will provide parts for a computer this old. So he has, although it looks like a laptop, it is not a laptop. He removed the battery and it is plugged in directly to the mains. However, it's not plugged on a secure plug to the mains. It's plugged in still through the charging cable. a cable port, which I will show you here. I keep trying to make it more stable by plugging in different things, but you can't actually, he says you've got to keep that taped, because if that comes out, that's just like someone switching off your desktop at the wall, right? So you just lose all your work without any notice. Like, there's no, we're going to shut down now. It's just like, it's fucking gone. And then on top of that, I have mega storage problems with RAM. And you know those puzzles that have those little, I don't know if anyone does these puzzles anymore, and I don't think anything like that would be online, but it'd be a square piece and there'd be a whole bunch of puzzles in a quad, and the only thing that's missing is one tile, and you have to move things around to get that tile into place. And when you have little storage, and then like hard drive storage, and then your RAM is like, your RAM gets really tiny, and I've had just a few megabytes and it won't even do it. You can barely do anything with a gig. Like, you need like 10 gigs to even start to kind of think about moving things off into other storage. And my mail app keeps crashing. Okay, so my mail app is a huge casualty, and it always is every time I've got to do important work, and it's always legal work, because I've got these fucking bitches just coming after me. It's no surprise every time. It's not like, why, how does my computer read my mind? Every time I've got something important to do, it just crashes. It's because when you've got important legal work to do, you need a lot of RAM, and you need a lot of memory, and you need a computer that's not obsolete. Basically, it's an obsolete computer, and my phones are no better, and you can't do legal fucking clerking on a fucking cell phone anyway. So I've previously asked SU to post me or courier me these documents, and they've ignored me. And then they sent me evidence under the Criminal Disclosure Act that wasn't criminal at all, and I sent it to the police info because it was Privacy Act. It was like, they do not understand the law. It's like, I'm sorry, just because you arrested me and attempted to charge me for something that never happened and the judge didn't accept it, I'm sorry, the fact that the judge didn't accept it means that it's not criminal. It's a nice try, but it's not criminal. You didn't get it past the goal. Sorry. They're fucking idiots, and they won't reply. But they have this fucking, like, real, like, God, this video is going to be longer. I'm sorry. The exposition. The video, I'll link in when I start reading the email. I'll do a little bit of, I'll go into, I'll do a little bit of work on this to make sure I can link in when I start the email. But they do not fucking understand the law. They don't. Some of them I know, I'm talking about police in general, police staff. I'm not just talking about those who are just police officers, but police staff to varying extents, ignorant of the law. Most of them know very little, nothing approaching what a lawyer would. I'm assuming that Victoria Hicks is a lawyer if she's a prosecutor, but she doesn't seem to know much, and court registry doesn't seem to know much either. So I don't know really why the judges are so ignorant and have such bad attitudes, but it could well be that they're just being misinformed by the filtration, the really bad filtration system that gets to them, and it genuinely tickles me sometimes, but it's exhausting. It's just exhausting, and I keep these records going because I was going to take today off, because I had a real blow about something else, and I took a couple of extra clonazepam because I hold some clonazepam back for when I really, really need to like enforce relaxation, because PTSD, when you live in survival modes so you never get to just go, I'll just take the day off, because your traumatized brain doesn't recognize any safety, and it doesn't take instructions from your conscious brain. It takes instructions from the horror that it's learned. So I can't say, let's just take a day off. I have to, um, I have to, I have to take benzos, and I really just feel like I need to go in and be actually just fucking put into a. I feel like a medically induced coma would be about right at this point, to let me relax. But anyway, it turns out I've got this fucking bullshit. So here at 15 minutes, and 21 seconds, I start reading the email. So this is a new email started again with a new, it's the next episode really. Okay, so bear in mind this is further disclosure, not the whole disclosure, and they've ignored me before and I've asked for the previous disclosure. So 9 a.m. Nicholas Charland, Senior Constable, CGSU, says, good morning, please find attached relevant disclosure documents. And as I said, it's those 5 items and they're all in one PDF. Unhelpful. At 9:33 I wrote, thanks Nicola at CJSU. Because she wasn't replying she wasn't sending it from her email address, and a lot of emails, when you reply to them, they don't show the full metadata, and that's why I will write somebody care of or somebody at, if they're not replying from her address, and I will also write whom I've copied in. And so I've copied in Bonnie Smith, who's the arresting officer, V Hicks, who's the prosecutor at PPS, and then I've copied in separately CMM in Christchurch DC. Sorry, CMM, I don't know what CMM is, I should have said CMM Christchurch, because they have a Christchurch division. And then I write my subject line. And the subject line will continue from the previous subject line, and I will kind of like chain link those through, where I'll put the most previous because it's good for sort of chronology, and I don't, it's good practice. Yeah, anyway, so that's it. To get the full metadata, you want to forward, and so the image of the like the thumbnail of the previous 1 minute and 1 second video, even though you don't see the thumbnail for long unless you sort of take a screen cap and zoom in, it does show all the metadata because I forwarded it. I wasn't forwarding it to anybody. I just forwarded it so you could see everything that I was sending and when. So I repeated the subject line, please courier copies of all these to me. As I've said, my computer is failing badly. They know. I've gone on about it for ages. Once I look through the hard copies, and then I've underlined this, I'll likely request again full disclosure. This will be a lot, as police had my phone for 5 weeks under the Search and Surveillance Act and could see everything that PPS's client had done to me, which is highly relevant to the Evidence Act, sections 38 and section 40. I discussed some of this in the video I sent all points yesterday. Sorry, I just got a bit confused. This is what I sent yesterday, but it wasn't. It's just that I sent them in an email. You've seen, it's the one with the cobhead snake in the thumbnail, and I sent that to all police. Well, you know, all the relevant parties at court and police, as I said I would, and I pasted it again here. And then I said, heads up, I'm transparent. I don't need to hold back on my disclosure. I have no tricks, only truth and proof. 1, my case will be heavily about propensity and veracity on both sides. Now, people will tell me don't give away all your strategy. They may be right, but I'm doing it because for the reasons I've given. 2, if full disclosure isn't made, I'll be addressing this in court too, as I think police need to open up and show what they know is the truth. PPS isn't supposed to take on private clients. Policing, and I've put this in italics, policing is about justice for the public, not getting crooks off the hook. 3, I will also be focusing on the Human Rights Act and Rights Act Part 1A, which is addressed specifically to the justice system and what flows from that, and I'm sort of referring vaguely to just the one part of the discrimination, basically to the discrimination sections, and must legally have been given to me, but never has been. Thanks, Caitlin Ree. CRN 230090100570. I'm disclosing everything to the public. I've got nothing to hide at all. And then I've given my address, which I probably... I don't know. Well, I've already said I'm at Alcala Lodge in Sherborne Street in Christchurch, so... But I won't give my specific address because I feel that there could be a... that could be unwise. Okay, so that was at 9:33, and then at 10:31, because Nicola had requested that I reply to make sure that I'd got her email, and I thought, well, okay, then I'll reply and make sure that she's got mine, because it seems appropriate, and I need her to send the stuff in a form that I can receive it properly. She needs to. It's the law. So yeah, 10:31, I a bit less than an hour later, I wrote, please respond to say you'll send the papers. And then, as I do, I pretty much copied the same, I pretty much sent to the same people again, but I addressed it to CMM or DC. It says hi CMM or Christchurch DC, because I've already locked horns with these Muppets, and by Muppets of course I now mean everyone at CJSU. And I know what CJSU's like, so I'm just like, do you know what, I'm not going to bother waiting for a response from the Muppets. I'm just going to go straight to court and see if they will do what the police are unlikely to do, or the Muppets are unlikely to do. So I said, yeah, hi CMM or Christchurch DC, can you courier me copies of this police stuff? My tech can't handle much, and I've applied to the scheme, and I meant to link in the scheme. I can't remember what it's called, but it's a social enterprise, and I think the City Council's involved in all sorts of other places, some tech places, and it's a really good scheme. It's for, they're getting school kids, and it might be like secondary kind of age students, to, basically there was a drive to collect a lot of laptops that needed, that had sort of conked out or whatever, and they've just got a lot of school kids working hard on refurbishing them, obviously under instruction, and then those are going to be distributed on application to those who can show a need and an inability to provide for themselves. And so I've made an application because I fit the bill, certainly, but who knows yet, right? So I said, I've applied to this scheme for a free refurbished computer so I can at least do basic work on my case, but I won't even hear back for a few weeks and may be declined. I want an amicus curiae and no one has replied, so if no one in the justice conduit follows the morally and legally correct processes, my 3 April contribution, and I don't even know what it is that I'm turning up to. It's a pre-trial something, and I'm not going to bother. As I say, I'm not even going to bother finding out what it is if no one else is going to play the game properly. I'm not going to either. got better things to do than fucking bust my nuts over something that's going to be completely, you know, completely pointless. Yeah, so if no one in the justice conduit follows the morally and legally correct processes, my 3 April contribution will be yammering about the Human Rights Act, the Policing Act, the Criminal Procedure Act and the Evidence Act. I won't even look at what the appearance is for or the disclosure. These are inappropriate, bit of a typo there, inappropriately premature and currently irrelevant to the law as it must be followed. My amicus is the New Zealand Bill of Rights. In fact, I should go straight to the Bill of Rights. It must be available as itself, not just as the Act, because the Act doesn't go into a lot of detail. Yeah, I might look at the actual Bill of Rights. And my amicus is the New Zealand Bill of Rights, and I'm not taking any shit, and I made sure to disguise shit well enough that it should pass through any filters, just in case, from any agent of the law who flouts it. By the way, no one assessed me for fitness to stand trial. All my drop charges on 15 September. That forensics nurse is breaking the law by writing out of her ass. Even if she was lied to by police, she's broken the HIPC, which is the Health Information Privacy Code, and that is a specific guidance document that comes under secondary legislation, so it's a kind of a regulation, I suppose, about health information, which is specifically identified as specifically important by the privacy officer, current or past, I'm not quite sure, and he was quite right about that. So I said, even if she was lied to by police about this assessment that never occurred, and certainly was not in the context of those charges, because that was one of the charges that didn't get through. It was a false arrest, didn't go anywhere. She's broken the HIPC. Then I said, get it together, Caitlin. You can tell I'm not sucking up to anybody. That's not in my playbook. People have said, if you treat them with respect, they'll treat you with respect. LOL. And then at 1:56 p.m, which is, because I sent that at 1:35 p.m, having heard nothing back. Then I heard back from the Muppets at 1:56 p.m, and they wrote, thank you for your email. As per section 10.4 of the Criminal Disclosure Act 2008, this disclosure has been served on you by an appropriate method, i.e. by electronic means at an address nominated by you. We will not be printing the disclosure for you. Fucking Muppets. And just nasty Muppets, like nasty Muppets. 2:11, I replied, I do not nominate this address. It's an email address I put on file, but that's not my nominated address. I said, that's not what I said. I said, I do not nominate this address. Obey the law or don't, up to you. And then at 2:14, 3 minutes later, I followed up with writing. And it's, remember, I have ADHD and I have PTSD. I have cognitive disabilities, including injuries. And this is exactly typical. This is a perfect illustration of the very, very, very severe and very prohibited discrimination against me by the justice system, which they are forbidden from doing under Part 1A of the Human Rights Act. It speaks specifically to them. So yeah, 2:14, I said, and it's not an appropriate method, you crooks. I wrote, and I quoted myself, my tech can't handle much, and I've applied to the scheme for a free refurbished computer so I can at least do basic work on my case, but I won't even hear back for a few weeks and may it be declined. CCCMM in Christchurch, DC. And then I replied, to myself at 2:18, and this time it was to CJSU, CMM, Christchurch DC, which wasn't quite enough people, so I ended up following up, as I will come to in a minute. And then I said, I wrote, police are not just disgusting but ignorant of the law, and in red text I wrote, read section 10 for CJSU, read it. So it's in caps. So I actually put the entire section 10. And the thing is about these Muppets is that, and this is what I was saying a little bit, I was sort of mentioning about, I've mentioned a little bit about how to read legislation before, and not only did they get subsection 4, they totally fucked up subsection 4, which totally didn't say what she said it was. They also realised that you can't just like take one subsection out from the main section. It doesn't work like that. Like legislative writing is a bit odd, and each point does not stand alone, and sometimes it helps you by going and or, but sometimes it doesn't. You've actually just got to read the whole thing. And it doesn't hurt, as I said, if you actually go to the interpretation section and find out what particular terms mean, because they don't have the same meanings necessarily as in common language, especially when you're a fucking dumbass fucking muppet. So so she quoted section 10.4, so section 10 subsection 4, so I'll just read that out first, and then I'll read the whole section. So subsection 4 says, information required, bear in mind this is not all you need to know about the disclosure in this context, but she being a muppet, muppetingly isolated it from the context. But anyway, just for the sake of her doing that, I'll read what it wrote, because even if you did even isolate it, it doesn't work. Information required to be disclosed under this Act may be disclosed in whatever form, in brackets, including electronically, that the person disclosing the information holds it in at the time the obligation to disclose arises, and that is readily accessible to the defendant. And I put that bit in red, and that is readily accessible to the defendant. I feel that maybe there should be that subsection 4 should be divided into sections as well, but really that is very clearly what that said. She didn't read it, or she didn't comprehend it, or she doesn't give a shit, or she's not very smart, I don't know, but it says, and that is readily accessible to the defendant. I have proven it is not readily acceptable to me. My mail app fucking crashes. That's not readily accessible to me. And anyway, I'm not going on about that. I've proven I don't need to belabor the point that my tech is not up to it. But here is the whole section 10, service. So it's service of the evidence. 1. Information required to be disclosed to, and any notice or application required to be given to or served on any person under this Act, and I am one such person. All sorts of people, not just defendants are, but I am one of those people, may be given to or served on the person, and it gives A and B, and they're either or, by personal delivery to that person, or if the person refuses to accept the document or notice, by bringing the document or notice to that person's attention, or by post addressed to that person or by electronic means at an address nominated by the person, or, if no such address has been nominated, at the person's last known postal address or place of residence or business. So they failed both of those. If they can choose, it sounds like they can choose how they of A or B. They can either deliver it to me at my home. That would be even better than couriering it, because I get it soon. And I don't mind receiving the police here just to deliver a document on me, or hand it in to the whatever manager or whatever. In this case, I don't mind, but getting it couriered is probably better than having cops turn up. But they don't get to. Their choices are limited to either bringing it to me in hard, in a, bringing the disclosure to me, which presumably would be in a paper form, or they can post it, and post was the first option, not the second, or by electronic means at an address, and the address refers to either an electronic address or a physical address, nominated by the person. Now, the fact that I have registered an email address with police does not mean that is the nominated address for document service, right? I didn't nominate that. I didn't nominate my email addresses, and I've previously made it very clear that I don't want it over email, and they've just ignored me. So it was not my nominated address. It is an email address that I have on file with them. It's not my nominated disclosure service address. 2. Information required to be disclosed to, and any notice or application required to be given to or served on a defendant. So that's specifically a specific kind of person this applies to, and I am a defendant. Information required to be disclosed to, and any notice or application required to be given to or served on a defendant under this Act may, if the defendant is represented by counsel, be given by any of the methods described in subsection 1 to the defendant's counsel. I don't have a counsel, so it's got to come to me. 3. Unless a person proves that, otherwise than through fault on the person's part, it was not received, if information, a notice, or an application is sent, and then here we have these options again, A or oh no, they're not options, they're just 2 points, one after the other. So unless I can prove that it wasn't received through no fault of my own, and I can, and I have, but if I haven't done that, if I just say, oh, I didn't get it, or I refused to open the email, or whatever, like, that doesn't cut it. But considering it is not appropriate to send it to me to an email when all of my tech is falling apart and my tech can't cope with it, and I have chronic fatigue syndrome and other health problems and no car and very little money, it is not appropriate for me to go into town to get it printed. It's not even appropriate for me to go into the court and pick it up. And it's not appropriate for me to have to put it together in an order that makes any sense. It's just not. So anyway, so that doesn't apply to so subsection 3 doesn't apply to me, because I'm well, it does apply to me, but it doesn't apply to, it's no defence for the Muppets, right? So they're going to try and say that, because if I can't prove that I didn't receive it and it wasn't my fault that I didn't receive it, it will be treated as having been received by the person 5 working days after the day that it is posted electronically to a valid address on a working day or after 5 p.m. on a working day. Yeah, I won't go into a lot of detail about that because that's not particularly relevant just at the moment. We haven't got there yet. This will be for the courtroom if the Muppets want to continue being Muppets. And then, of course, we get to 4, information. See, it's all in a context. It tells the whole story. Information required to be disclosed under this Act may be disclosed in whatever form, including electronically, that the person disclosing the information holds it, and at the time the obligation to disclose arises, and that is readily accessible to the defendant. So it's both of those things. And there is no reason that I don't think CJSU can make a very good argument that they are unable to print and post it to me. I don't think that's true. They've served documents on me that are illegal documents. They've come to my house to serve illegal documents on me in paper form. I think they can come to my place and serve me a document that I've requested them to come and serve on me. Yeah. So, do you think I finished there? No, I didn't. No. So then I sent to, I think just CJSU, PPS, copy in CJSU. I said, PPS, rein your admin in, please. And that's a senior fucking constable, for fuck's sake, fucking Muppets. Couriered the disclosure to my nominated address and trained these Muppets at CJSU, and I had forwarded all of that below to them. And then, was I done? No, I was not done. At 2:51, so that's about an hour ago now, and I forwarded it so I could get a screenshot of everything, and that's what I had written. And so I'll just read again. This is the last email that I in the thread so far. I haven't checked to see if anyone's replied, but the last email I sent, which is what I sent in that little short one, is, I don't care if on 5 May we turn up with police with egg on their face, failing to understand the laws that govern them, even partially, as well as the civilian they're hunting down. The law must be followed or criminal procedure can't proceed. It just can't. You can lock me up if you like, court, as you let police and yourselves be pedantic to the point of irrelevance on some points of law. Ignore all other laws. Commit active criminal offences against me. I don't care. I'm not playing ball till you follow the rules. Why should I train like an All Black while you eat donuts in the changing room, for fuck's sake? I'm just along for the ride until you sort your shit out. And I am reminded of pigs, and I don't like rapping. Rapping is weird. I don't like singing, especially a cappella, and I don't want to rap, but it's like, from Pigs, from Cypress Hill's first album, it's like, talk about, sitting around eating donuts while some motherfucker's out robbing your home. So donuts is obviously, it's a trope now, but I mean, the trope just means that they're just sitting around doing fuck all, except harassing people and ignoring crimes. And that's what's happened. And, my investment in my life ebbs and flows, as I've said, with my future prospects. I'm not pushing the boat out to do a sterling legal job on my case if nobody can in the justice system can understand it. It looks like I'm the only one who can read legislation, and like, it's like sending someone a Word document when they don't have Word on the, they don't have the Word application. It could be an amazing Word document, but if they don't have Word, then they can't open it. So why would I bother? I wouldn't. Okay.